In one school, the teacher was a monk. Most of all, he loved to have a snack and a nap afterwards. Every time before the lessons, he ate so much that he could barely move. Soon after the beginning of the lessons, he always took a nap and slept until the bell for the end of the lessons sounded. The son of a poor villager was a student in the same school. His name was Lee. One time Lee asked the monk, "Teacher, may I ask you, why do you sleep in all our lessons?" "My friend," replied the monk, without any embarrassment, "it just seems that way. During these minutes, I meet with Buddha and listen to his wise words. That's why I try to sleep as much as I can." One time, Lee took care of his sick father during the night and fell asleep at school. In the morning, he slept so deeply that he didn't hear the bell which woke the monk. When the monk saw the sleeping boy, he got very angry, took Lee by the ear, and started screaming, "Ah, you little weasel! How dare you fall asleeping in my class?" "Teacher," said Lee, "it just seemed that I slept. I was with Buddha and listened to his wise words." "And what did the all powerful Buddha say to you?" "The all powerful Buddha told me, 'Never in my life have I seen your teacher.'" Ha ha ha.
Once upon a time, there lived a princess whose favorite toy in the world was a golden ball. One day, she was playing by a pond. The golden ball fell from her hands into the pond. The pond was very deep. "Oh dear, I will never find it again," the princess said. Suddenly, she heard a voice. "What is the matter, beautiful princess? Why are you crying?" said the voice. The princess looked down and saw a green frog. "I am sad because my golden ball fell into the pond," said the princess. "I can get it for you," said the frog. "But what will you give me?" "Whatever you like, frog." "How about a golden crown?" the princess asked.
Once upon a time, there lived four cows in the forest. Every day they used to graze together in the particular spot. They were all friends. One day a lion saw the cows grazing together. The lion wanted to eat them, so he went to catch them. When the cows saw the lion, all of them fought with him. The lion had to run away. A few days passed and the cows quarreled between themselves and started grazing separately. One by one, the lion killed all of them.
Tiger was getting married, and Peacock and Crow were invited to the wedding. At the time, crows were as white as clouds, and peacock were as yellow as butter. "I think we need to be more colorful for such an important wedding," said Peacock. "That's an excellent idea," said Crow. "I know how we can do it. I can get paint in all the colors of the rainbow of us to use." Crow went right to work painting Peacock. He was a great artist. He painted colorful designs and beautiful pictures all over Peacock's feathers. He made Peacock's tail the most beautiful of all. When Crow was finished, Peacock looked at himself in a pool of water. Oh, how beautiful I am! My tail looks like it is covered with precious gems, he exclaimed as he did a joyful dance.
Nancy the spider sat in a tall tree, watching God work in his garden. God's melon looked delicious, thought Nancy. Nancy the spider loved fruit, but he was too lazy to grow anything himself. When God left, Nancy dropped into the garden with a thorn. He carved a hole in a melon. He crawled inside and began to eat and eat and eat. Nancy rubbed his full belly. Good will be back soon, he said. I must go. He tried to crawl out through the hood, but now he was too fat. I'll wait until I'm thin again. And Nancy grew bored while he waited. When God returned, Nancy got an idea. He loved to play tricks. He could trick God. God picked up the melon. Oh, Nancy yelped. Who said that? God cried, looking around. Me, replied the melon. God blinked. Melons can talk. Yes, we can. This is inscribed, said God. I must show the queen. It hurried toward the palace. Rattlesnake saw him. Where are you going? She called. I'm talking this melon to the queen, replied God. It talks that's silly. Rattlesnake laughed. Ha ha ha, as silly as a kind rattlesnake, said the melon. Rattlesnake crowed. Who said that? I told you, this melon talks, said God. Amazing, said Rattlesnake. I go with you.
Little Red Riding Hood lived in a wood with her mother. One day, Little Red Riding Hood went to visit her granny. She had a nice cake in her basket. On her way, Little Red Riding Hood met a wolf. Hello, said the wolf. Where are you going? I am going to see my grandmother. She lives in a house behind those trees. The wolf ran to Granny's house and ate Granny up. He got into Granny's bed. A little later, Little Red Riding Hood reached the house. She looked at the wolf. Granny, what big eyes you have! All the better to see you with, said the wolf. Granny, what big ears you have! All the better to hear you with, said the wolf. Granny, what a big nose you have! All the better to smile you with, said the wolf. Granny, what big teeth you have! All the better to eat you with, shouted the wolf. A woodcutter was in the wood. He heard a loud scream and ran to the house. The woodcutter hit the wolf over the head. The wolf opened his mouth wide and shouted, and Granny jumped out. The wolf ran away, and Little Red Riding Hood never saw the wolf again.
Once upon a time, there lived a rat who wanted to marry the daughter of the most powerful. He thought the king was the most powerful of all. So he went to the king and asked the king to let him marry the princess. The rat said, "You are the greatest one. O king, I want to marry your daughter." The king said, "No, I am not greatest. The sun is mightier than I am." The rat went to the sun and said, "O mighty one, since you are more powerful than the king, I won't marry your daughter."
One day there was a problem in the village. One farmer had a goat. The goat wanted to drink some water. The goat found a pot of water in the farmer's kitchen. The goat put his head into the pot. After drinking water, the goat could not take his head out of the pot. The goat jumped up and down, but the pot did not come off the head. The farmer heard the noise of the goat. He jumped here and there, but he could not take the pot. Then he ran to meet Mahadana Mutta. He came with his five papers to send. Mahadana Mutta ordered one of his pupils to open the book. He told the pupil a page number. He asked the pupil to read the instruction in the page. After reading, Mahadana Mutta told the farmer to bring a big knife. He told the farmer to cut the neck of the goat very carefully. After cutting the neck of the goat, you could crush the pot and take the head out. Okay. Mahadana Mutta and his five papers went away, thanking themselves for helping a poor farmer to get rid of a difficult problem.
A long time ago, in a place not far from here, there was a kingdom. In this kingdom, there lived someone more famous than even the king. That was the court jester Andere. One day, when Andere was coming to the palace, he saw some sugar laid out to dry in the sun. Andere had a sweet tooth and he asked the king what was going on. "Your Majesty, this must be sugar that laid out to dry in the garden." "No, no, Andre, that's just some sand we bought for work." "Oh, is that so?" "So the king laid to my face he thinks he can fool me? Just wait till I cook up a scheme for this. Your Majesty, may I run home for a little while?" "Son, I'm going to the palace now. Wait a little and then come running to the palace crying that mother died." "Ah, why, father? Don't get smart with me, boy. Just do as you are told." "Father, we are done, father. Mother died, father." "No, son, all is lost. We may as well eat sand. Here, son, you eat some sand. I'll eat some sand. Here, son, you eat some sand. I'll eat some sand." Stop, Andere. That's sugar, Andere." Thank you.
Once upon a time, there was a village. It was very hot there and nowhere the crowd be found. There was a crow in searching water in this village. The crow flew closer and peeped into it and saw a little water at the bottom of the pot. It flew everywhere to find water as it was very thirsty. It flew over a house and saw a pot. The crow was very happy to see even a little water.
Once upon a time, a salt seller used to carry the salt bag on his donkey to the market every day. On the way, they had to cross a stream. One day, the donkey suddenly turned down the stream and the salt bag also fell into the water. The salt dissolved in the water and hence the bag became very light to carry. The donkey was happy. Then the donkey started to play the same trick every day. The salt seller came to understand the trick. He decided to teach a lesson to Donkey. The next day, he loaded a cotton bag on the donkey. Again, it played the same trick, hoping that the cotton bag would be still become lighter. But the dampened cotton became very heavy to carry and it suffered much. It learned a lesson. Afterwards, it did not play the trick and the seller was happy.
In ancient times, there was a comedian in the palace. His name is Andre, and his duty was telling funny stories to keep the king smiling. In that period, there was a paddy field event to select the best farmer. One day, a farmer came to the castle to meet the king to tell a problem he was facing. There was a big stone in the middle of his paddy field, so he couldn't grow paddy for the event. The king commanded the men to remove it. Everybody couldn't move it, but Andre agreed to remove it with some condition. He asked to live in 1 month wealthy and healthy as a king. So the king granted his request and provided the luxury life he requested for 1 month. After 1 month, many people eagerly gathered to see his superhuman wealth. While everyone watching, he asked for strong men from the king to lift the stone and put it on his back so he can piggyback it to another location. Then the king asked, "You have promised to move the stone, and why you are not doing it by yourself?" Andre replied, "Yes, your highness, what I promised is to relocate the stone, and I will do it gladly if someone lifts the stone and put it on my back." Everyone laughed. However, King himself is a bit angry about his notorious action, but forgave him since he did not contradict what he said earlier.
A hare is boasting about his speed in front of the other animals and challenges any one of them to race him. A tortoise accepts his challenge. At first, the hare thinks it's a joke, but the tortoise is being serious. So, soon after they begin the race, the hare runs full speed ahead and to make fun of the tortoise, he decided to take a nap. The tortoise keeps slowly going and going. When the hare wakes up, he notices that the tortoise is near the finishing post and fails to win the race.
One day, when Andre came to the palace, he saw Sugar laid out on a mat to sun dry. Andre was tempted to have some fun with the king and also to eat the delicious looking sugar. Pretending not to know what was on the mat, the crafty jester asked the king what it was. The king, in his turn, thought to fool his jester, asked the king what it was. The king, in his turn, thought to fool his jester and replied that it was just some earth. Andere just nodded his head and left, but in his mind he was hatching a plot to eat the sugar. When he got home, he called his son and said, "Son, I am going back to the palace. In a little while you come there crying that your grandmother is dead." Andre went back to the palace, and in a short while his son came running and crying to the palace, "We are finished. Grandmother is dead." Andre too started wailing and went towards the mat of sugar. He sat by the mat and cried, "Son, here. Grandmother is dead. We are finished." The, then the crowd just started putting the sugar in his mouth, crying, "Now there is earth in my mouth and your mouth." Andre and his son kept saying this and starting eating the sugar. On hearing the noise, the king came out to see what was the matter, and saw Andre and his son wailing, eating the sugar. The king soon realized the trick Andre was playing, but could not say anything, as it was he himself who had told Andre that the sugar was earth. The king could not help but laugh and tell Andre that he was very clever.
Andere used to come home very late and his wife became angry. She wanted to teach Andere a lesson, so one day she did not open the door. Andere kept on shouting. He then picked up a stone and dropped it into the well with a loud splash. The wife got upset thinking he had jumped into the well. When she came out to check, Andere got into the house and told his wife to wait outside till the sun rises. Thank you.